Have you ever met a quiet person? Somebody that you thought, oh, maybe they're an ordinary person, have led an ordinary life. And then you find out that this person has done some extraordinary things. I would say Richard Milgram is one of those people. When you meet Richard, he's quiet, thoughtful. Well, wait till you hear what he has accomplished and how many lives he has changed for the better. Without further ado, I invite Richard Milgram to share his talk, Generally, I Tried.
Hi, my name is Richard Milgram, and I want to thank Chabad for the opportunity, Chabad of Camarillo, for the opportunity to be here and to speak. Everyone that I've spoken with over the past year that I've lived in Camarillo, I've found interesting. I've made a lot of friends, and I really appreciate that opportunity. What have I been doing with my time in retirement? Because it's 1 year of retirement for me. I've done volunteer work at Chabad. I appreciate that. Under Rabbi Yosef's auspices, I believe is the correct term, I've been able to visit the sick. I've volunteered for docent training at the Ronald Reagan Library, and that's been a hectic, interesting time. I volunteered for, I believe it's Smile on Seniors, the Camarillo Air Show a year ago. Enjoyed that. And I've enjoyed so much in my studies here and the classes and so forth, and also studying with Isser Charter privately, learning Hebrew. So I've tried to use my time constructively, and I appreciate that opportunity. I want to tell you just a little bit about what I've done in terms of religion. I grew up in North Carolina, in the town of Fayetteville. There were at that time about 100 families, and my father and mom bought a home within view of the synagogue. So many an evening we were called at the last minute for Yortzeit, for minions. We'd rush over, away from the TV, sometimes away from our meal, but that's how I grew up, and it was a great experience. I remember, this is many years ago, the rabbi at that time inviting me to tour with him to the neighboring communities and speak and lead the congregation in Anim Zemirot. That was my big hit. So that was a great experience. I graduated from high school in North Carolina and attended East Carolina University for a couple of years, and then moved to Boston, where I attended Berklee College of Music in conjunction with Boston Conservatory of Music, majoring not just in performing on an instrument, but learning music education techniques, in other words, how to teach. And that's really what I've done my entire life from the age of 21 to, I'm not going to tell you, but anyway. And my music training basically was private lessons, attending these colleges that I've just talked about. And when I was on the faculty of a college in Massachusetts, Merrimack College, I got to know the rabbi who was also on their faculty, and was invited to speak on I don't remember the exact title, but it was the Jewish music program. And we performed, and I spoke about Jewish music. It was a wonderful experience many decades ago. Taught for 5 years in public schools in music education training, conducting bands and orchestras and private lessons and marching bands and music theory classes. Just tremendous range of experience over the years. And then my performing experience was really interesting because I'm stepping back a few years. I would go into a music lesson, a private music lesson with my instructor. He would hand me a piece of paper with a phone number. But before that, he'd say, "Are you working?" Meaning, are you playing in a band Saturday night? No, I'm not. Well, go across the street, go to the phone booth. Remember the phone booths? And make a phone call to a booking agency, which resulted in, over the years, my performing for Ed Sullivan, Jerry Vale, Bobby Vinton, Peaches and Herb. Maybe you've never heard of them, but that was at the Sugar Shack in Boston. The others were at Boston Garden, the other performances. And also, once I moved to Connecticut, a few years later, had my own orchestra performing for Ginger Rogers and for Phyllis Diller. So these were great experience. This is all interspersed with the Friday and Saturday night dance jobs, as we called it. I've had so many experiences. I remember Ron, who wanted to attend college. So he told me I applied to Yale. And they asked me about my music background and my overall education, how well-rounded I am. And would you write a letter? So I wrote a letter for Ron. And he said, I got a scholarship to Yale, 4-year scholarship. Would you write another letter emphasizing blah, blah, blah? And he got even more benefits from Yale. So this is the kind of thing that my era or my style of teaching that meant so much to me. Then I'd have students coming in saying, I want to excel, I want to be in the all-state band or orchestra or chorus. And I'd work with them, and 9 times out of 10, maybe it was higher than that, they would excel and they'd get in. And what also I should talk about is that my wife, my late wife, who passed away 2.5 years ago, Judith, was the director of the Shoreline School of Art and Music and co-founder along with me. And we were approved by the Connecticut State Department of Education, the Connecticut State Department of Higher Education, for teacher training and for career training in the arts. This was a job, in effect, that we had for 41 years until I closed the school 1 year ago, the end of May. And it was all people from all walks of life in 35 different towns over the years would come to us for that kind of training or what they wanted specifically. So it was a great experience, and I may be not going to the exact point that I'm trying to bring out, but what I'm saying is that the education and what I involved myself in teaching was to bring out the best from the student, and each student, each person, radically different. I really enjoyed that challenge. That's what made teaching so important and so rewarding for me. And going into the supermarket and seeing a student from years ago saying, "Are you still playing? Yes, I am." And knowing that I'd given them their introduction to lessons. And I remember the last month that the school was in operation, a student, the mother called up and said, "I want to thank you so much. Michelle has now been accepted as a music major to college, and it all started at the Shoreline School of Art and Music." That's what I did for 41 years, and before that, as I've talked about, college and public school, but that's the gratifying aspect, and as well as the performing. And I appreciate the opportunity to address you and to tell you about this wonderful life.